So the class of full-size long john cargo bikes is fought over like never before. There are so many competitors, and it goes so far that there's not just competition between the manufacturers, but also within the manufacturers, like at Riese Müller. There's the entry-level transporter, the classic load, and this, the Packster 270 ControlTech Vario with buggy option. And not just the name is quite a handful. So in this video, we will look at all the details and see who's this for. Okay, let me rip off the band-aid right in the beginning. This bike is one of the most expensive cargo bikes you can buy at the moment. This review unit is 11,200 euros. Which is quite a lot, but this review unit is packed with features and accessories. Let's take a look. The motor is always the same in the Packster 270. It's the Gen 4 Bosch CargoLine motor with 250 watt power output and 85 Newton meters of torque, and it's coupled with either 1 or 2 batteries. In the basis, it's 622 watt 25 watt hours, and it goes up to 1,500 watt hours of total battery capacity, so quite a lot. And when we look at the shifting options, we have 10 or 11 speed derailleur systems with a chain drive or these Enviolo stepless gear hubs, either manual or automatic. The overall design is Teutonic. Not particularly elegant, but it's still impressive and striking. There are 3 colors available. This black, there's a red color and white, and several options for the box, but we'll get to that later. I think most impressive is that Riese Müller managed to squeeze a 70 centimeter long loading area into a relatively small package. They managed this by optimizing the bike around this box, so the distance between the front wheel and the box is very small, and when you look at it from the side, you see that the front wheel is actually retracted into the box design. And also the space between the box and the pedals is optimized, and between the rear wheel and the seat tube is not much space either. The weirdish name Packster 2 comes from the change to the BES 3 system. So now the bike has the smart system with all the opportunities regarding connectivity, for example, but also this bike is equipped with ABS or anti-lock brakes. This is configurable via the app and delivers a big leap in rider safety, especially in bad conditions. The brake lines are led through this unit, which controls the flow of the brake fluid. And when these sensors down here, these are on the front brake disc and on the rear brake disc, when they identify a difference in speed, the front brake is being pumped, so the bike stays controllable. And we actually needed this a couple of times in the recent weeks of bad winter weather here in northern Germany. And then there's another interesting detail, because the Packster 270 is one of the few bikes which can be equipped with full suspension, just like their load models. They call it ControlTech because it increases the capability and the handling, but I think they should call it comfort technology, because this is one of the most comfortable long john cargo bikes you can buy at the moment. And not just for the rider, but also for the kids. The sole reason that I get to test this bike for a third time is the box, because this is one of the main protagonists of the Packster 70 for the model year 2025. There is this, let's call it classic box. It's still available, but I think for families the buggy option is the best option for the Packster 70 at the moment. The old box option is still available, and it could be favorable for your use case as well. As I said, the bike is designed around the box, so this element in the middle is a structural part of the bike itself. There is a big frame part down here where the batteries are located, and there's also a second piece of structural element which goes down here. All Packster 70 boxes have in common that they are made from EPP, so expanded polypropylene, with a nice indentation down here of the Riese Müller name, and it looks very well made. EPP has some favorable properties for this construction of a box, because it's quite light, it's easily recyclable, and it's also quite impact resistant and insulating. The buggy option is always the combination between the lower box and the upper rain canopy. There's a whole frame which goes from the back of the box up here, all the way above the box and above the heads of the kids to the front of the box. So it has not just this sturdy frame, but also a very sturdy rain canopy and wind cover. There are big windows at the sides, a small window at the front, and back here it's fully covered. So even strong rain or even snow can do no harm to the insides of this box. And depending on the conditions, you have several options to use this box. So first of all, you open the door by opening these Velcros and opening these straps. And then you can put the window up, and you can see that there's quite a big opening. And the one thing that sets this box apart from the classic box is the window line. Because in the classic box, the window line went straight from this point over here to that point. And so it was quite hard for kids to climb in and out of the box, and it was quite hard for smaller kids to even look out of the box. And with this option, it's way easier, even for smaller kids, to look outside. But you can't just open and close it. There are several options to ride in a more open or more closed situation. You don't have several different panels you have to think about and have to put it somewhere, but it has its own small compartment here. And now this is the hot summer configuration, so the kids are still sheltered from the sun, but they have a lot of air coming in, and it looks way friendlier as well than with the completely closed compartment. Let's look at the seats, because these are very interesting as well. We have a high backrest going from the bench all the way to the top. We have a very wide box and a very wide bench, exceptionally well made belts with a strong buckle mechanism, and space for 2 kids up to the age of, I would say, about 8 years, depending on the size of the kids, of course. But this bench is one of the more generous ones, and the belts also come from a point which is very high up, so the belts won't slip off the shoulders of the kids. So this is also very secure, and with this headrest, the kids have a very cozy and a very safe place. And you might have seen it already, this bench is also equipped with a third seat, but there's an issue. These are the tubes where the batteries are mounted, so the space for the feet is quite limited. So when 2 kids share the space in the middle, it's still quite comfortable. A third kid, I can see some trouble going on here. But when the kids love each other and they are quite small, I think it's also capable of transporting 3 children. The good thing with this front-mounted seat is the backrest is about as high as with the rear seats. It's a little bit wider for 1 kid. It's a little bit specced down, but it's still way ahead of many bikes of the competition. The belt is the same as with the rear-mounted seats, so it's also great if you have 1 kid and you want to ride around and have the friend once in a while sitting then in the rear, so the kids can face each other, which is really cool. But I think for 3 kids, especially as they get older, this is a little bit too cramped. But 2 kids have a real premium place, because this bench, it's not just very comfortable with this fabric right here, but it's also retractable. So you can push the bench forward and the backrest gets even more comfortable. And this is awesome, especially with younger kids. If they are sleepy inside the cabin of the Packster 70, then they can take their nap. And when we had the Packster 70 for the first time a couple of years ago, we really used this quite often. But when you look at the front right now, the space is even tighter. But the good thing is that you can fold the bench. Oh, there's the glove of my daughter. You can see that we really used it in the last couple of weeks as a family transporter. you can fold the bench seat up, and then there's more space for the children's feet. And but for the most time, we used it in this regular configuration, so the kids had enough space for their legs, and we used this bench in the front for their rucksacks or for our bags. So yeah, there's enough space inside this box, but if you have 2 kids, I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting this front bench, but I would try to have some kind of compartment in the front here, something that uses this space in the front, which is not necessarily used for the legs of your children. So I really like the buggy option of the Packster 70. It's a great box, it looks great, it's well made. We talked about comfort, and it's not just the comfort inside this box, but it's also the comfort when you ride this bike. As one of the few full suspension long john cargo bikes, the ride quality on this is exceptional. It really is. This is the bike that I chose most of the times when I wanted to take my kids somewhere, when I had to ride somewhere. I chose the Packster because for my height with 1.96 m, the seating position, it can't get any better, because you have the reach of a cross-country mountain bike, and so it feels sporty. The handlebars can be set in a lower position as well, but what must be said is that the reach is always big. So even if you are smaller, you could get into trouble with the seating position because it doesn't feel as comfortable as with other bikes where you sit more upright. You have to consider that this is more sporty than some of the competition. But still, the geometry is made for people between 1.60 m and 2 meters. So I'm at the upper end of the capabilities of this bike, but it felt really great. The motor is powerful. The Enviolo isn't necessarily a sporty transmission, but it does a good job, especially in urban environments. So you can always maintain your favorite cadence, and this works quite well. If you want to use it in a more hilly environment or more off-road environment, I would choose the derailleur system. Or I would love to see this bike with a roll-off or a 3x39 gear hub, because the Enviolo, it has its limits, especially when you want to get going on a steep incline. But when you're going off-road or through a forest, for example, or when you live in a city with lots of cobblestones, this bike really is a game changer. Because regardless of the path or road surface you're on, this bike just blasts over it, and it's quiet at the same time. It's comfortable, it's easy to control, especially due to this cable steering, which has a very wide range. So the bike is easily controllable even in tight environments and through tight bends and turns. There are a couple of drawbacks, however, and one is the weight. Riese Müller claims that this bike in its base configuration weighs about 41 to 42 kilograms. However, in this configuration, with all the bells and whistles, I weighed it at 62 kilograms. And then in combination with the allowed maximum, or with a weight limit of 200 kilograms, is suddenly the load capacity is not all that much. And you can feel the weight of the bike as well. On the one hand, it's great for the overall safety of the bike, because, as I said, it just blasts over anything. But still, it's not as agile, it's not as nimble in the handling as the Riese Müller Load, for example, which feels way more mountain bikey and way more agile than this thing. But that said, I mean, for this configuration and for these accessories, the bike isn't really too heavy. There are many bikes that exceed this 60 kilograms by quite a lot, but most of the times these bikes are capable of carrying or of weighing up to 250 kilograms, for example. So even if they weigh more, they don't have these limitations as the Packster has. Overall, ride-wise, quality-wise, safety-wise, this is an exceptional bike, and this is mirrored by this price point, unfortunately. But the good thing is that there's a cheap-ish alternative. So the Packster 270 Family Edition features this bench, features the buggy option, but for just 6,699 euros, which is still a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's still very competitive for everything that you get with this bike. The Packster 270 Family Edition is one of the best family bikes to get at the moment. And I think for my own, if I were to choose this bike for my own family, I think I wouldn't choose the control technology, but I would choose the regular bike because it's even shorter and the seating position is shorter as well. So you get a more upright seating position with all the great innovation that is within this buggy option. But it's still in a weird position within the Riese Müller lineup. So if I would want to have a great family cargo bike, which is not too expensive, I would choose the Transporter. If I wanted to have a very capable and fun to ride Long John cargo bike, I would choose the Riese Müller Load. So where does this put the Packster? It's kind of the jack of all trades. It has a great box for the family, it has a great ride, it has some great accessories, but in specific areas it still can't match the other bikes by Riese Müller. Where and with whom would you ride the Riese Müller Packster 270 ControlTech Vario buggy option? Is it your bike or would you fancy something else? Let us know in the comments. Leave a thumbs up if you like the video, and if you want to see more of these, then simply subscribe. See you in the next one.